Tammy Lynn Belanger, born February 24th, 1976, disappeared November 13th, 1984, in Exeter, New Hampshire. Her status is missing for 40 years, 3 months, and 24 days. Yeah. She disappeared while walking to school in Exeter, New Hampshire in November 1984. Police believe she was abducted. On the morning of her disappearance, Tammy was seen by a neighbor crossing the street on her way to school. She did not arrive at school. She has not been seen since. The one suspect in the case, who had been convicted of sexual assault of a minor in 1979, was later convicted of burglary and indecent exposure in Florida in 1992 and died in 2012. On the morning of Tuesday, November 13th, 1984, Tammy left her home on River Street in Exeter, New Hampshire, to walk to the elementary school on Lincoln Street, where she was in the third grade. A neighbor saw her cross the street at approximately 8 a.m. It was about 1 mile to the school, which Tammy had walked since she was in first grade. When Tammy had not returned home by 3:30 p.m., her mother called the school only to find out that Tammy had not been in class and called the police. At the time, the school did not verify students' absences by proactively calling parents. In the following days, police and volunteers searched 6 to 8 square miles on foot and helicopter and boat. The FBI and state police held an in-state leads. A nearby flooded quarry was searched by divers. Nothing of significance was discovered, and by November 20th, the ex- exterior police chief said he had little hope of finding Tammy alive. In December, in Boston, identified Victor Wanett, the 41-year-old, as a suspect in Tammy's disappearance. Victor had been living, huh? In a motel nearby Ray, New Hampshire in November and was jailed on a parole violation earlier in December. Victor had been convicted in 1979 of felonious sexual assault of a female minor, his 13-year-old stepdaughter, and served 4 years in prison before paroled in July 1983. Victor parole was revoked by the New Hampshire Parole Board on December 28, 1984, as he had left the state without informing his parole officer and had been convicted of a misdemeanor in Florida earlier that year. At the time Victor was first named in connection to Tammy's disappearance, he was also a person of interest in the disappearance of Marjorie Luna, who had vanished from Green Acres, Florida in May of 1984. The disappearance has similarities as both Marjorie and Tammy were 8 years old when they vanished. Marjorie had also been walking alone on a street near her home when she disappeared, and Victor had also been living nearby at the time. The discovery of human remains in Allenstown, New Hampshire in early November 1985 led to speculation of a connection with Tammy's disappearance, however, was discontinued by investigators. The victims of the Bear Brook murders, as they came to be known, were identified years later and confirmed to have no connection to Tammy. November 12, 1985, the day before the 1 year anniversary of Tammy's disappearance, Exeter police announced that the investigation had come to a halt. January 1992, Victor was convicted of burglary and indecent exposure in Florida. During surveillance of Victor, police saw him peeking in a bedroom window of 3 young girls in West Palm Beach, Florida, a total of 14 times in less than 3 weeks. Goddamn. He received a 75-year sentence as a habitual offender. Yo, y'all been stalking this man and see him do this 14 times. Y'all didn't scare him off. Y'all didn't do nothing. Y'all just, okay, whatever. I guess the FBI wanted that. That's their conviction rate. Okay. June 1994, police in exterior opened a grave of a woman who had been buried in November 1984. Apparently, based on a tip they had received, nothing connected with Tammy's disappearance was found. Victor was released from prison in Florida in April 2012. Why did they release this man? Eh, He, he died in December 2012 in Florida at the age of 69. In 2013, police involved in the initial investigation of Tammy's disappearance said that Victor was the prime suspect within 3 days. His car, blue with Florida license plates and a broken taillight, had been seen in the area when Tammy disappeared. Also, Victor called in sick to work that morning. He had been employed at an auto body shop in Exeter. While police believe he killed both Tammy and Marjorie, there was also no supporting physical evidence, and Victor was never charged in connection with their disappearance. Tammy's parents divorced, and her father, Nelson, died in September 2017.